Oh, wait, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a story.
Yeah.
And it's about this guy, David Miller. Um, he was wrongly convicted,
Wow.
and this is a story about resilience and his quest for freedom.
Yeah.
We have these excerpts from a fictional narrative about him. What makes this deep dive really interesting is we get to kind of see everything
Yeah.
from the moment he was, imprisoned, like the shock of that,
Right.
to the slow kind of build as he starts planning, and then like the tension
Tension.
as the escape attempt gets closer and closer.
Yeah. No, it's a powerful journey, and I think the thing that really struck me was the way the story kind of contrasts his life before prison with like the stark reality he's facing now.
Yeah.
Like he's a mechanic working on cars to suddenly being confined in a cramped prison cell.
Right.
It's just a complete upheaval of everything.
Like a total 180.
Yeah.
And yeah, they don't shy away from those details of like daily life either.
Right.
Like the bland food
The food.
and just like the constant lack of sleep,
Yeah.
like missing his daughter. You really get a sense of the psychological toll
Mm-hmm.
all of that takes on a person.
Right. Right.
Imagine yourself like all of a sudden you're ripped away from
Everything you know.
everything,
Yeah.
thrown into this environment, and it's designed to like strip you of your individuality.
Yeah.
It's like a nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, beyond those physical hardships, there's this really deep sense of betrayal that kind of permeates his whole experience, right?
Hmm.
He's wrongly convicted. He's been judged by a system that's supposed to deliver justice,
Yeah.
but it just totally fails him.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling of powerlessness, of not even being heard, can be so damaging. Like,
Yeah.
studies have shown this kind of injustice can lead to, like,
Mhm.
intense anger, depression, even PTSD.
That's awful. It makes you
Mhm.
wonder, like, how does a system like that even like function?
It does make you question a lot of things. Yeah.
But I think one thing that's interesting is that even in this really bleak environment, you see this
Mhm.
glimmer of hope, this human connection. He develops this friendship with Frank, another inmate,
Right.
and that becomes like a lifeline for
I
him.
was gonna say, like, how important is that, in a situation like that?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Their bond is fascinating.
Yeah.
Even in the simple moments, like when they're having those conversations over breakfast,
Yeah. Yeah.
the same, cold eggs and bread every single day. It just, it highlights how important that companionship is in this kind of dehumanizing environment.
Right.
Sharing stories, hopes, fears.
Yeah.
I think it's through those interactions that David starts to find like a reason to keep going.
To keep fighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how even in that despair, that's where you find some hope, right?
Right.
And speaking of hope, there's that scene, at breakfast
Right.
where Frank's like, worried about Marcus and his gang starting fights.
And it's like, whoa, that adds a whole other level to this.
Exactly. It injects this element of danger, right?
Right.
Reminding us that even within prison, there's this whole other,
Like a hierarchy.
this whole social hierarchy he has to navigate,
Right.
where survival depends on like who you align with.
Right. Makes you think, like, how's that going to play into his escape plan?
Exactly. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I think it's important to go back and see, like, how did he even end up in this situation?
Right.
The story uses these flashbacks
Mm-hmm.
to show us his life before prison.
Yeah.
Which is, again, like such a contrast to where he is now.
A total contrast. Yeah. And that's what makes the wrongful conviction so jarring.
Right.
He was just a mechanic
Just working on cars.
working on cars, living a quiet life.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, everything changes.
Yeah.
Murder near his garage.
And suddenly he's the prime suspect.
He's suspect number one. And what's so frustrating is there's no real evidence.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like no fingerprints, no DNA.
Nothing.
No, it's all circumstantial.
When it hinges on this one unreliable witness, right?
Unreliable witness testimony. And the fact that he just didn't have an alibi.
It's crazy to me.
That's a classic case, right?
Huh.
Of how circumstantial evidence can lead to this huge miscarriage of justice.
Mm-hmm.
It raises these questions about, like, how reliable are eyewitness accounts, really?
Yeah.
How easily can bias creep into these investigations?
Totally.
For David, it was the lack of that strong alibi, and probably people just saw him as an outsider.
Yeah, an outsider.
I think that played a role in his conviction.
And you can feel his, like, anger and frustration
Oh, absolutely.
at being completely unheard,
Yeah.
like dismissed by the system.
His system that's supposed to protect him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's screaming into a void and no one's listening.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then the story snaps back to the present, to David and Frank in the prison yard. And they're talking about their past lives, right? Clinging to that shared longing.
That shared longing for freedom.
Yeah.
It's almost like those memories or this temporary escape from the reality.
From their current reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how the narrative explores that concept of time in prison.
Yeah, how much time there is, but it's
Yeah.
warped.
Right. So much of it.
But it's distorted.
Yeah, David dreams about his old life, right?
Right.
But it's tinged with this painful awareness of where he is now.
It's like he's caught in this paradox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where time is abundant.
Yeah.
But it's this constant reminder of what he's lost.
Yeah. Is that a common thing, like, for people?
Oh, yeah. This distorted perception of time.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people who have experienced long periods of incarceration talk about.
Wow.
The routine, the lack of stimulation,
Yeah.
the endless days. It creates this
Timelessness.
Like they're disconnected from everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But then there's this shift. A new guard shows up.
Oh.
Someone unfamiliar with the routine.
Okay.
And for Frank, this is it.
This is it.
This is the opportunity. It's like a crack in the walls of the prison.
A crack in the system.
Yeah, and it's remarkable how quickly his mind shifts to, like, strategy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He starts noticing everything. A
Everything.
new guard's schedule, weak spots in the fence.
Wow.
He even starts searching for tools, all while being super secretive.
It's like, what does it take to have that
Right. That observation.
level of,
In such a restrictive environment,
It's amazing.
it really is.
It's like refusing to be defeated by the situation.
Exactly. And this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already hooked.
It gets even better.
I can't wait.
And it gets even better as they start, mapping out the prison yard,
Right.
identifying those blind spots, escape routes, any obstacles, right?
Wow.
Their attention to detail is amazing, especially with the limited resources they've got.
Yeah, they're under constant watch, too.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's got to be like putting together a puzzle,
Right.
but like with missing pieces.
Yeah.
They got to use their intuition
Yeah.
to fill in the gaps.
You got to be able to think on your feet.
Right.
But with all the planning, isn't there a risk that
Yeah, like something unexpected.
something could happen? Right.
Right.
Absolutely. But what's impressive is how adaptable they are.
Yeah.
Remember how they adjusted when the near guard showed up?
Right. Right.
That flexibility is crucial.
Totally. They have to be constantly reassessing,
Yeah.
observing.
Everybody to change the plan.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
High stakes.
high stakes chess game.
Exactly.
Every move matters, but we can't forget about
Unless-
Marcus and his gang.
Yeah, they add this whole other layer
Right.
of complexity.
It's not just the guards.
It's the social dynamics, right?
Yeah.
They're a constant reminder that even if you break out,
you're
you're still in danger.
Yeah,
It's like a double-edged sword,
You got to rely on each other,
Yeah,
but you also got to be careful who you trust.
exactly. Makes you wonder how their relationship
Yeah, how it changes.
changes under all this
Pressure, yeah. And as they get closer to the escape,
Mm-hmm.
you can feel that tension, right?
It's palpable. David's wrestling with that fear
Yeah.
of getting caught,
Yeah.
but also that hope that it might actually work.
Right.
Frank's carrying the weight of responsibility,
Right.
knowing that his actions
Yeah.
could have serious consequences.
Yeah. It's that push and pull, right?
Yeah, between hope and despair.
Hope and despair. And then Frank says, it's been 2 years
2
since
years.
David was locked up.
It really hits you
It
there.
hits you hard, yeah.
That moment, it underscores the weight of it all.
Yeah.
The time that's passed,
2 years of his life.
fighting for their freedom.
Gone.
And still, they haven't given up.
Their resilience is just, it's
Incredible.
remarkable.
Strength of the human spirit.
To find hope in that situation.
In the darkest places, yeah.
But with Marcus and his guys out there,
Mm-hmm.
and the escape getting closer,
Building to something.
yeah, it feels like a climax.
It does.
Will they actually make it?
That's the question.
That's the question, yeah.
But one thing's for sure, their journey, it's been a masterclass.
Yeah.
In resilience, resourcefulness,
And it's,
human connection
Yeah.
in the face of adversity.
this whole deep dive has been like up and down,
It has.
from despair to hope.
Yeah.
Now this, like anticipation.
It's not just about escaping.
No.
It's about the human spirit.
Yeah, enduring, adapting
Finding ways to fight for justice.
when it seems impossible.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it really makes you think about some tough truths.
About the justice system, yeah.
about freedom in captivity.
What does it even mean to be free?
Right. What would you do to get that back?
Big questions.
Big questions.
Those will stick with us
Well,
for a while.
yeah.
But for now, let's focus on that escape attempt.
Yeah, let's get into the details.
The heart-stopping details
Is their plan?
and those ethical implications.
Exactly.
We're back, and I don't know about you, but the tension is killing me.
I know, right?
They're about to do it, you know.
This is it. David and
A
Frank
moment of truth.
are going to put their plan into action.
After 2 years,
2 years of planning.
strategizing,
Well,
surviving,
Driving. Yeah.
it all comes down to this.
Can you imagine what must be going through their heads?
Oh, I bet it's a mix of
Everything.
years of injustice,
Yeah.
the belief that they deserve another chance.
Yeah.
It's not just about escaping the prison itself.
Yeah.
It's about escaping the system that failed them.
Exactly. Their lives were stolen. You know,
Their dignity,
their dignity. Yeah.
their identities,
They were just numbers. And this escape, this is their way to fight back
to take back control.
when they had none.
Yeah. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It raises those ethical questions,
Does freedom, justify the risk?
especially when justice wasn't served.
Right. There's no easy answer.
No.
It's a real dilemma.
It is. But you have to remember their desperation.
Right. They've been through so much.
Years of confinement.
Violence, threats.
Dehumanized.
Yeah, it's like their escape is a form of resistance, you know?
It is. It's like asserting their humanity.
Yeah.
And it highlights the impact
The psychological impact,
of being wrongly imprisoned.
which people don't talk about enough.
No, they don't.
The isolation, being dehumanized.
The loss of hope.
It leaves scars, right?
Deep ones.
Even after they get out.
Even after.
Yeah. It makes you think about how much a person can take
Right. The limits
before they break.
of human endurance.
And they still have to deal with the guards and the fences.
The real dangers.
Yeah. It's not easy.
No, and the story doesn't sugarcoat that.
Right. Even in those last moments.
You can feel the uncertainty,
Yeah.
knowing that anything could happen.
That it could all go wrong.
Their plan is good, but
But it relies on so many things going right.
one little thing goes wrong.
It's over.
It could be devastating.
That's what makes it so intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like planning versus luck.
Yeah,
It shows how resourceful they are,
absolutely.
but also how fragile hope can be.
In a system like that.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that,
Even when things are so unfair,
yeah,
people can still resist, have hope.
fight for something better.
Yeah. Whether they escape or not,
hmm
their story makes us think about the justice system and
Yeah.
what freedom really is.
It challenges us.
It does. It asks what we would do
Yeah, what would we do?
if we were in their shoes.
This deep dive, man.
It's been a journey.
Wrongful imprisonment, the psychological effects,
Human connection,
moral
the
dilemmas.
pursuit of freedom,
Yeah. We felt David's despair,
that glimmer of hope.
the tension of that escape,
It's a story that sticks with you.
Yeah.
It makes you think,
about the human experience, hope, justice.
even when the odds are stacked against you.
So as you go about your day, think about what you would do.
In those impossible situations.
What choices would you make?
What does freedom mean to you?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.